Hello, YouTube and community. Welcome to Chart of the Day. And this is for the 29th of April and 30th of April 2016. And how are we? So, this is a really cool message, to be honest. I spent some time over the last 2 days, like really getting in touch with what I want to share with everybody today. And so I'm actually excited to be delivering this because I feel like it answers a lot of questions when it comes to the relationship that many of us have today as we have become more open to possibilities and our new potentials and our relationship to a world that has literally begun to transform itself and transmute itself in ways that we couldn't have imagined. So Chart of the Day is something that I feel has become for me a way to deliver certain messages that I would usually not be able to do because of the amount of time that I have to dedicate on other projects at this stage. And so a lot of people send me emails regarding questions and stuff, and this one really answers a lot of these questions. So I sincerely hope that you're one of those souls, and this really gets home. So today's message is, as you can see, there's this huge like forklift truck machine that uses its raw power to move Earth. Okay, its capacity to just bulldoze through experiences and change terrain and really get to the Earth or core of whatever the objectivity is or object is for construction workers and this construction vehicle. But if you had to study the dynamics of it very closely, you'd observe that it's very slow. It doesn't have a lot of versatility. It can't change direction very quickly, and it's very solid. So this is the kind of earth element that I'm really referring to. Okay. In fact, what you can see in this picture is a caption of the masculine and feminine principles in nature, and particularly the earth trine and the water trine. So earth representing the grass, representing the stability and structure and power of this vehicle, and of course the water that's there reflecting it. And then in the distance over there, you see the sun and the sky and the relationship to openness and awareness and infinite boundless expansion, masculine energy. Okay, and then where they meet is earth, and that's what we are bridging and building a relationship between masculine and feminine energy on the earth, and that's why we are here, and that all comes through the heart. So the thing that's fantastic about this, as I said, is if you know, at the moment we have Sun in Taurus, we have Jupiter in Virgo, and we have Pluto in Capricorn, and there's this huge earth trine that's just really resonating in a very positive way at this point. And it represents that structure. It represents that stability. It represents that really that deep need to understand that what the feminine principle is about here is that when we want to grow, when we want to expand, when we want to reach out into infinite potential and possibility, we need to have a good foundation. We need to have strong, deeply ingrained roots into the earth. Like a tree that expands deeply into the abyss, into the openness, must have the equivalent of its roots very buried in there. So this picture represents to me the relationship that we have at this point in time. We all seek to have potential. We all seek to have our expanding hearts more vibrant in our reality. We all seek manifestation. We all want to live the enriching life that is what Earth's about. And yet we struggle so deeply with the fundamental laws that nature provides us with that we don't pay attention to because we're too distracted on our own sort of stuff. And this is obviously what the sort of darkness on the planet does. This is what evil does. This is what separation does. It keeps us in distraction and doesn't bring us any fruit. So the point I'm trying to make here is that each of us sits in our lives and we seek this deep penetrating sense of growth and nourishment and potential, and we don't understand that physical sort of the laws. So coming back to this picture over here, and this will become a lot more clearer when I show you the chart and really reveal this to you, but pay attention and keep following, and I'm sorry if I'm losing anybody. The cloud that's just situated just above that huge bucket. I don't have the terminology for this type of stuff, but you understand what I mean. Maybe I can use my marker over here. There. Okay. So the cloud that sits there is spirit. The cloud there represents the nature of flexibility, the heart, the emotional relationship we have to our lives, the intuition, the ability to move in directions in ways where we are taken by situations and circumstances where we need to trust our intuition. And there's this interesting dynamic about how do we trust ourselves deeply enough to act upon situations and circumstances that are moving us in a direction that is what the soul is asking us to do, what ourselves are asking us to do, but still being able to be grounded enough, the truck, the earth, in a way where we don't be completely disconnected or disassociated. So it all comes down to this beautiful and subtle little energy band and relationship between these two over here. Okay. One, we understand the natural law of these dynamics. Fast, changing, all over the place, slow, moving, stable. How does that connection work? Okay. So let's have a look at the chart. Okay, now the moon's not actually in Taurus and Sagittarius, so I do apologize, guys. The moon is actually in Aquarius at the moment at 5 degrees. So the moon's in Aquarius at 5 degrees. So emotionally, we are objectifying our reality. Emotionally, we are breaking free from behavior patterns and natural tendencies that would otherwise keep us in a state of constriction. Okay. And so the moon is just giving us this little 2-day period of breaking away and just kind of objectifying our reality and being a little bit disconnected from the emotional experience. The sun, as you can see, is at 9 degrees Taurus, and it'll move to 10 degrees Taurus. And this is the Earth trine that I was talking about. There's the sun in Taurus, Jupiter in Virgo, and of course Pluto in Capricorn, Earth elements. Okay, there's the trine. You can see it there. So the trine there represents the truck, and then the Neptune squaring retrograde Mars, squaring Saturn. Okay, the South Node there conjunct Chiron, Neptune in Pisces. This is the fleetingness. Okay, this is the trusting in something that is outside of our control, our relationship to the cosmos. This way of knowing that there are forces beyond our physical control. Okay, weather, as an example, would be a great way to understand that relationship, surrendering to things, having faith, etc. And then you have Venus transiting through Aries, Uranus in Aries, and these are all fire elements, okay? The Sagittarius part and the Aries part over there. And that is that quick moving, trusting your intuition, acting upon impulses, being really, really in your gut, really, really acting upon these like instinctual behavior patterns. So Earth, groundedness, stability, slowing down, etc. And Sag, let's act, let's go on our intuition, let's see things, okay? And then Pisces saying at the same time, how do we become fluid? How do we become energized to the experience? So there's those two archetypes that I'm bringing to our awareness here. That's how they are on the chart. And then if we go back to the relationship that I was talking about, how do we merge those two together? How do we trust ourselves deeply enough to know when spirit is going to move? And then how do we then adjust our physical reality in accordance with that so that we can then become consistently in all times in flow and harmony versus crisis and paralysis, which is, of course, what all these squares and quincunxes are about, these crises and paralyses and like, it's not flowing for me. I'm trying all these things, but nothing works out. Natural states of futility that occur when we're going, but I'm following all the signs, I'm doing all this type of stuff, I'm acting here, I'm showing up there, and it's just not working. And it's because we are learning in this lifetime to understand deep emotional and physical and spiritual trust in the universe. And what happens is that the masculine energy comes in, and the mental part of us comes in and wants to direct it, wants to control it. And I can assure you right now that as Mars and Saturn are in Sag squaring Neptune, Neptune's in Pisces, that's not going to happen. Uranus in Aries is just saying, I'm going to quickly like create new sparks of directions. It's going to be very different. You're not going to have this sense of like continuity all the time. So you've got to really, really step up and ask yourself in all moments, how do I feel about this experience? What are my senses asking me to recognize here? And that is the relationship between the two. What is my sense, okay, before that moves, before that cloud moves? And this cloud is your dreams. This cloud is your relationship to how soul is communicating to you, how soul operates outside time and space. It doesn't have limitations. Our physical dimension has limitations, and that's what we're trying to merge. Physical limitations versus soul and its own natural laws. Okay? So it's about sensing. It's about deepening your relationship to the higher sense of understanding and realizing that our egos or sense of identity or physical relationship is the boat. And the boat is that physical thing, and the ocean is the feminine. The ocean is the natural laws of how the soul wants to move, and it moves through currents. So it's about aligning one's sense of identity in with higher self, and the way that you do that is through sensing, because sensing is the transcendence of the physical, right? So the only way to practice sensing is to deepen one's sense of clarity and calmness within the body. And when you do that, then you develop your relationship towards trust in the feminine energy, and it says, now it's time to move. So there's this beautiful dance between I'm trusting myself, I know the path, I can see and feel that it's not time to act at this point in time, and then I will know when to act. I will know when the information is being presented to me through the Neptunian way, signs and signals. They'll be presenting themselves through people saying stuff. And this is what's beautiful about the Aquarius energy. The Aquarius energy is all about blueprints of the future, flashes of insight, epiphanies. And so your relationship to these flashes of insight and epiphanies is saying, follow the breadcrumbs, even if they look disjointed, look for repeating themes. And once you know to start to watch this like random pattern of repeating themes, act upon them when they are repeating to you consistently. And they'll happen to you all the time. And a direct experience of this was that I was deepening my sense of connection, trust, calmness, stability within self, the truck. And then as I was actually deepening my sense of relationship to this message, something pops up on the Facebook and says, hey, here's 100 pictures of cool things. So I was like, okay, click on it. I never do that. And I scroll through these pictures, and all of a sudden this picture that you're watching right now manifests in front of me. And it's like, yes, that's exactly what I need. And that's what I mean. I would have naturally never done that. But because my sense was like saying, move in this direction, okay, fine, I'll go in that direction, because I'm not using the mind. So the mind goes, but that doesn't make sense. Why would I want to do that? Whereas my senses are saying, move there. You might not know why, but at some point it will reveal itself to you. And then when it reveals itself to you, you feel inspiration. You feel ecstasy. You feel the sense of, this is clarity. It's complete and utter sense. That's when you know. So today's message is about how do you develop trust in your soul's path? And that is about sensing. And how do you develop sensing? You deepen your relationship to the divine feminine. You deepen your relationship to being in your body and in the impulses that are being presented to you. And then you just act. And if you don't get it right, you understand your relationship towards environmental feedback. And over a period of time, you just keep on becoming more refined and more refined and more refined until eventually you develop trust where you've had a sufficient amount of experiences that have said to you, hey, every time I do this, this is what happens. I know that for sure. And you then become deeply connected to your physical realm, deeply connected to the feminine energy that is always here to support us in every moment. Okay? Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for allowing me to share this with you today in terms of you being receptive. I'd like to let everybody know you're obviously watching this for on the 29th. Tomorrow is Sunday. And I'm going to host like a small workshop webinar that will be talking about the retrograde planets: Mars retrograde, Saturn retrograde, Jupiter retrograde, Mercury retrograde, and Pluto retrograde. So I will put some details in the description. If it's not there, please email me and just say, hey, I'm interested in the workshop. What's the details? And I'll respond to you. I think it's like maybe an hour or so, an hour and a half, where we just discuss how that works, and maybe like $15 or $20 entrance. Okay. Fantastic, guys. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll speak to you soon.